There's a new custom race that's just dropped, the Keiron. Those of you who have seen my prior videos on the Genetron and the Xeyed already know there's a very cool indie game designer by the name of SolStice who's made two new custom races for Starcraft 2, one loosely based on the Zerg and one loosely based on the Terran. Well, the TOS one is now here as well, and I'm about to cast it in action. Just two important footnotes first though, guys. First and most important, our players are Joes, not pros. They have jobs or school, or they just like watching Netflix. So no, they aren't going to have world-class top 20 micro and macro. So please modulate your expectations and be kind. I think you'll find the players remarkably skilled when considering that they've only been at this for a few days. Second, I'm assuming that you, the viewer, are not familiar with the Keiron, so my narration is going to be targeted at a very basic level. If you're already a fan, feel free to point out all the things I don't yet have exact, because I too am pretty new to all of this. With that out of the way, let's get into the action. This is a KVT, Keiron versus Terran. Most of the time, we're going to have the camera on our Keiron player, because that's what everybody's come to see. Right now, you are looking at a Citadel surrounded by workers called converters. They're adorable little guys with tails. Now, the Citadel may remind you of a Nexus, but it's actually a bit more like a hatchery. All of the Keiron's combat units come out of the Citadel. But to make units, the Citadel requires charges, and those come from other tech structures, such as the Edifice, which is being made here. The Edifice creates charges to make the basic units the Pariah and the Volt. The warp-in process looks like a bubbling fountain. I could just stare at it like a lava lamp. Eventually, you slowly see the structure materialize. It's quite cool. That there is a formulator, which is essentially the same thing as in a simulator. That's how you get your gas. You can put up to 3 workers on it, just like any other race. Terran's making a Rax at the top of his ramp, just like any other player. I have to say, once again, I'm so impressed with the graphics. The look and feel of the Keiron has been incredible. And I think we are witnessing our first Energize. It's sort of like the replacement for Chrono Boost. It increases the speed of everything within range, which means the workers mine faster, kind of like the Genetron. But it also acts like a shield battery, recharging the shields of everything in range. So it's got a defensive application as well. And I think it even gives an armor boost. Now you'll notice the Edifice has a status bar on top of it. That's because it's building charges for the Citadel to use. It will continually make up to 3 of those. If you want more than 3, you need another Edifice. And it looks like most players are happy to build a lot of Edifices in the early game. A fast way to power up a lot of units. But now our Keiron player, Magical, is building a Sanctum behind his mineral line. That'll open up more powerful units, but here's our first one, a Volt. He's a tiny little guy with not a lot for hit points, but he shoots both land and air with a really decent range. 8 damage, range of 5, and he only costs 50 minerals. It's a Reaper Expand build for Leon, our Terran player, and his Reaper's already out. A second Volt warps in topside to guard the Reaper door. There's definitely one on 2,000 atmospheres. So the Reaper's on its way, but I don't know if the Keiron actually has the firepower to stop it just yet. Terran starts up the factory. The Reaper's already here, there's just 1 Volt. He's only got 20 shields, 30 hit points, and the Reaper just guns him down for a first blood. Magical's warping in more Volts, he's gonna need those. I should mention there's a speed upgrade available for the Volt. Oh yeah, 3 of them can gun down a Reaper pretty quick. There's a speed upgrade and there's an upgrade called Latent Charge. That makes their electricity bounce to additional targets, vaguely like the Mutalis's Glaive Worm does. The Volts may not have arms, but that doesn't mean they're not handy. Oh, that was bad even for me. Magical's now building a Foundry. I'm glad to see that. The Foundry's gonna unlock Umbre. They're some of the more interesting units that the Keiron has to offer. They're cloaked attackers that double as excellent scouts. Terran has constructed a starport, but the Keiron has shaped in a conduit. That's its basic air charge producing structure. Shape is the new lingo, by the way. We no longer warp things in, we shape them. We're like alien sci-fi sculptor dudes. I make jokes, but I like it. Any new alien race should have its own culture and verbiage. Oh, that's an Echo being shaped. That's our first air unit. It's air-to-air only. But boy, is it fast. Oh, Magical's taken a third. Anyway, the Echo has a Discord mode, where he goes online and chats with a bunch of people. Just kidding. Discord mode is something else entirely, and I'll explain how it works. Except that he stopped right on top of a Widow Mine. So actually the only thing we know about Echoes is that they can get one shot by Widow Mines really quickly. Very smart positioning by Leon there. He's actually got 3 Widow Mines out at this point. That reminds me that the Keiron has 2 different kinds of static defense. Similar to the Zerg, they've got one for air and one for ground. Oh, but look at this, Magical's shaping in a Subjector. That's an anti-air unit. It can actually hit ground as well. I've seen the Subjector used heavily in a lot of the different games I've watched. It has decent range to begin with, and you can upgrade it even further. So I get why it's so popular. It's an all-round unit like the Stalker. So Magical's clearly anticipating that Leon's attempting a drop here, which he is. There's 3 Widow Mines in that medevac. And he's snaking his way around the west side of the main. Magical has 2 Subjectors. There should be pretty good defense. They've got the Force Blaster and the Enthraller Quills, range 6. He's gonna lose that medevac if he's not careful. Solid reaction by Leon, he skirts around. There's a pack of Volts at the natural though. They come swarming in as well. While this is going on, Leon starts up Stim and +1 attack. No upgrades for Magical just yet. Oh, he's sending an Echo to hunt down that medevac. That's gonna force the issue. We don't see that nearly enough. The medevac drops all 3, 1 down, 2 down, but the 3rd gets a shot off, kills a worker. Only a single converter is lost. That's a good result for the Keiron. Though the medevac did escape unscathed, I think the Echo accidentally got grabbed in the worker pull. And you see those new glowing dudes? Those are Umbrae. I'm sure it won't be long before we're all calling them Hombres. Anyways, they are super cool, the least of which is how they move. They roll like banelings, but when they stop, they flip open like tripods. Believe it or not, they are cloaked with no energy cost. It works kind of like the Dungeons & Dragons invisibility spell. When they attack, they lose their cloak. Or maybe like a Klingon bird of prey. But they recloak after they stop shooting for 5 seconds. And that giant bug-like thing is called the Myriad. To my mind, the closest analogy to this guy is the Swarm Host. He continuously builds 3 attacking flying drones. He can only have 3 at a time, but if he loses one, he just remanufactures it. Currently, Terran has the bigger army, but it's the Keiron that has the significant worker lead, and is definitely translating into a higher income. Terran may have the mules, but I wonder if the Keiron Energon helps it keep pace. I'm doubtful it's that good, but it's definitely something. Terran takes its 3rd, but Magical's Death Ball's starting to look impressive. With my early impressions so far, the Umbrae aren't that useful in a Death Ball. They're best at solitary scouting or working in groups of their own kind, because once they decloak, they're just an expensive attacking unit. Oh, Terran is pushing out, hoping to deny the Keiron 3rd. He's actually bringing a siege tank down with him. There's a Volt at that watchtower to warn Magical that the Terran is coming. It dies, but that may be money well spent. Oh, Magical heard me. He splits off his Umbrae to try to circle behind the Terran. Oh, Leon's not going to tuck his tank behind the rocks. Terran usually loves that spot. Oh, the tank is already hammering the Myriad that's getting shaped in. And here comes the Umbreon snipe from behind. Terran brought a Raven for detection, so the plan does not work. But Magical still has a flank, and he's going to use it. The Pariahs soak the hits. They're melee units, kind of like Zealots. That lets the Myriads go to work, and the Terran has to withdraw. Oh, this is a lot of fun. I'm digging this. Terran's trying to add in Marauders to deal with this. He's getting harassed all the way home. The Pariahs have this cool blink-like ability. It's like a short-range shade. It's just the right size for jumping up a ramp. And they actually share the speed upgrade with the Volt, which is really kind of neat. But you may be asking, if they're called Pariahs, why are the rest of the Keiron hanging out with them? And the answer to that is just because the Keiron are that classy. Terran holds his 3rd, but the Keiron is shaping in his 4th. Magical's economic lead is getting serious. He's powering, shaping in 3 more edifices. I'm gonna have to learn the plural of edifice. He's gonna be able to make a huge swarm of Volts and Pariahs. The Keiron's just starting his upgrades. That's the one advantage that Terran enjoys, and it looks like he's gonna try to wield it with his hit squad. Magical's also pushing out. I think this could be a 2 ships passing in the night scenario. Maybe even base racy. Oh, I don't think he wants those Subjectors in front. Oh, Magical catches it. He's gonna reorganize and pack up his units. Those 3 giant Myriads are packing a lot of firepower. Terran's halted in the middle of the map. He might actually have the flank potential this time around. Or he could get caught stranded doing nothing. It looks like the Keiron are gonna be able to hit first. Magical's streaming his units. He's pushing hard with this attack. But Leon catches the reinforcements. He stims. The Elytron drones get destroyed. They cost 25 minerals, 25 gas to build. But unless you turn it off, they auto-build for you. Terran is holding his 3rd. The Cheirons put a lot of armored units in the field, and the Marauders are doing a lot of bonus damage. Oh, the Echo fighter jet's gonna hunt down those medevacs. Or the Raven. Oh, the Myriads are gonna get sandwiched. Those are expensive units. 275 minerals, 175 gas. Magical's trying to pull out of there, but he's gonna take hits all the way. But he does have reinforcements coming. Terran's dropping scans because he's worried about Umbre, but there aren't any left. That's cool, they're impacting the game even after they've been destroyed. Oh, a huge stream of bolts is reinforcing the Keiron army. Oh, and I see Meridians, that's the new spellcaster. That lightning bolt does 100 damage. And you thought the Meridian was just a marking on a map. Terran's in some serious trouble now, he could lose his third. The Elytrons are attacking it. He lifts off, which is a good move, because the Elytrons can only attack ground. But that just means the Myriads are going to redirect them to other forces. Oh, the SCVs are getting massacred. Leon couldn't get them out in time. And he GG's, his economy was in shambles. And that was a neat little introduction to the Keiron. Stick around, we got some more info for you. As fun as that was, there's a couple of things about the Keiron that I really want to show you that this game didn't illustrate. But first, my apologies, I didn't intro the players. Gah! I got so excited about the Keiron, I forgot to. They deserved better. These players deserved over-the-top battle horns. Gosh darn it. Next time. Anywho, those of you who know me know I love to geek out over little details. And here's a little detail that I just love about the Keiron. Their air buildings can be built over top of ground buildings. Here we have a conduit being built over a sanctum. That could come into play if you have a really tight main base. And here's an air turret being built over a ground turret. Or a stratus being built over a nullifier. I could see that being really useful for choke points or ramps. It's a little thing, but it's cool. Now here we have an air unit called the Aperture, which is kind of like the Chiron's Warp Prism. Right now it's carrying a Titan, which is kind of like an armored Ultralisk that shoots. Just in case your nightmares weren't bad enough. Now the Aperture's going to drop off the Titan, just like any other dropship. But rather than stick around, it's going to fly away to safety. And to retrieve the Titan, it's going to use its ability to pick up things inside it. It's a unit teleporter. And once people get good with this, I think it's going to have all kinds of insane harass potential. There's an energy cost to it, thank goodness. But just imagine the creative uses in the hands of a skilled player. There he goes, and the Titan is safe and sound. And on that note, I did want to diatribe quickly on game balance. Since the race is brand new, the balance will naturally still be under construction. The designer actually patches the custom races, just the same as Blizzard. How cool is that? But the feedback in gameplay just isn't there yet, so don't expect the balancing to be perfect. In fact, I digress, but my suspicion is it's unlikely that it'll ever be perfect. The game designer has to balance not just 3, but 6 different races, which is a whole different ball of wax than 3. In my view, if he even gets it ballpark, that would be an amazing feat. I'm not saying you can't complain about balance issues. In fact, I think public feedback would be quite helpful. I'm just saying you need to appreciate its early days, that's all. The Protoss has been around for 10 years. The Keiron, closer to 10 days. Now the question I often get is, Zugzwang, how do I play this? I've got you covered. Here's the quick mini tutorial. Once you open your Starcraft up, you want to go into custom games. Below that top ribbon, there's a sub ribbon. You want to make sure you're on melee. Once there, you can pick any map you want, just like you would with any other game. I'm just going to take 16-bit because it's right there at the top. But instead of clicking Create Lobby at the bottom, you want to click Create with Mod. There's a search box in the top right. Type in Keiron, K-E-I-R-O-N. Later on, it'll pop up automatically in your top played results. And I bet it'll be in top rated soon enough. Then you click Keiron, 4th race. Question, why is it called the 4th race if there's actually only 3? The answer to that is the Keiron was created as part of a competition for a 4th new race for Starcraft. So it's 4th after Zerg, Terran, and Protoss. But never mind that, it's really the 3rd new custom Scion race. And eventually it will be integrated into the custom Scion Races mod. So we'll look forward to having it alongside the Genetron and the Xeyed. Anywho, we're going to hit Create Lobby, and then we're just going to make it like we would any other game. You add your friends or your AI, and away you go. Just make sure you change the default to Keiron. The part that says Protoss stays Protoss. I'm just going to add an AI real quick, and then I'm going to hit Start Game, and I'm good to go. And as always, if you want to join the community that chats about the Keiron and the Scion Custom Races, there's a Discord for it. I'll have that link in the description below. Do let me know if you'd like to see more Keiron. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out my other Scion Custom Races videos, or for that matter, the large back catalog of pro play games that we offer. You can also subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Let me just say, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your Starcraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.